Hey y'all, I'm Zach Smith, a realtor from Nashville, Tennessee, and today we're going to be going over a house review. We're going to be taking a look at 5420 Parker Branch Road in Franklin, Tennessee, not too far from Leapers Fork. This house came on the market and went just as fast as I could make a video, so it's actually off the market now. This house has got an amazing 6 acres in a pretty desirable part of town, and we're going to go through it, look at what makes it worth the nearly $2 million price tag that was asked on the market, and why I think that this is a great option and a great purchase for a new homeowner. A great purchase for the new owner of the home, that is. Sorry. So for those of you that are new to the house review style that I do, we're going to go over 2 different categories at the end where we score the house and rate it for daily life and a fun and occasion score. These 2 categories really capture the 2 different needs of a home. On the one hand, you have daily life score. That's the part of the house that you use every day. You're going to be using the functional elements of the home and enjoying day-to-day life. This is things where little things that aren't quite set up right can get in the way and cause problems. So it's where you can get points lost for not having enough storage in the house or something like that. But you can also make up a lot of ground by having a great layout and a really functional house that can be lived in every day, and you never have to compromise on your daily life. In the fun and occasion category, we've got a different side of the home. This is a side where you have friends over, where you're celebrating, where you have fun at the home. It's not just for hosting though. Some homes are just not set up for hosting other people, and that's totally fine. A lot of homeowners just want to spend time by themselves and have fun things to do around the house that are built into the house itself. These will be things like a pool or a great outdoor living space, or maybe just a great family room setup or a family time setup. Basically any different set of steps that can really claw back that fun and occasion score that makes it a special event every night you spend in at the house. With that, let's get into the listing review. I'm going to put up the basic info on the screen for you here, but just so you can hear it, this house was listed at $1.95 million, and it's a 4-bedroom, 3 and 2 half baths home. Although there is some outbuildings that might change those numbers a little bit. It's about 4,000 square feet on 6 acres. But again, when you get into these outbuildings and extra buildings, you don't always count those in the square feet, and it gets a little complicated. So take all those numbers with a grain of salt as we go through the home. With that, let's get into the tour. As we walk up to the house, you can see that this home has great curb appeal. You can see the farmhouse styling with the red accents that they brought in. I don't know if those were just for the listing or if those have always been on the home, but ultimately they're a great touch. You can see them carried throughout later on when we get to see the garage outbuilding. They have also brought in that red accent. And really this farmhouse style is well executed. This is on 6 acres. It's as close to a real farmhouse as you can get without actually putting one on a farm. So great start to the style. I will note right now one of a very few number of drawbacks in the home that I've seen. The home does lack some of the exterior landscaping you would hope to see on a home at this price point. The natural trees and other landscaping growing around the house and on the property are beautiful and gorgeous and a great reason to live on 6 acres in Franklin, Tennessee. But the intentional and placed landscaping around the house, along the driveway and around the outbuildings is really just, maybe a little lackluster for some of the homes in the area at this price point. But I wouldn't let that detract. It's still a beautiful property in a beautiful part of Tennessee, as you'll continue to see throughout the exterior photos of the home. Getting a little closer on the patio, you can see a fun little porch swing, and I really like the dark wood paneling up on the roof of the patio. I love the black and brown and white accents all pulled together in farmhouse. And we get to see one of the first key design features when we get to the door of the house. You'll notice that they have an old style door handle and lock built into the home that looks sort of vintage inspired or vintage styled. And I think it might actually be vintage. I don't know if there was a home on the property before this one that they took it off of, but this house was built in 2006, according to my information. And so at that time, this is definitely not the original handle that would have been put on a home first built and new in that time. So I think throughout the house, you'll see a lot of accents brought forward in time a little bit. And I think those are a great way to pull in some quaint and vintage style that's so common in Leapers Fork. It's going to be really exciting to see those throughout the house. So keep an eye peeled. I might not mention every single one, but there's a lot of times where the designers of the home have brought in sort of vintage style and vintage elements that are really neat to see as you catch them throughout the home. When we really do walk through the door for the first time, you'll see this great big open hallway, and you get a first look at the layout. You'll notice that You have sort of a sitting room off to the right and a living room off to the left. And these are sort of closed off. They're not in the open layout that you might expect in a relatively new home. But I think once you get to see the rest of the house, you won't feel too shy about those little bit closed off spaces. I think this home is a pretty well laid out home and it's very functional. So we'll get to see that as we go forward. Taking a step into the living room, you can see a really cool central fireplace with paneling on it. This room is laid out in a pretty cool way so that you can easily let in natural light, just like to have it set up, and keep the flow where you can see out to the entrance of the room. Very well laid out. You could have put the fireplace on a different wall and caused yourself a bit of a problem with having to put furniture in. It's a pretty consistent theme throughout this house that everything is laid out in a way that lets a very functional setup for all of the furniture and living space to be set up, put in place, and look really nice along the way. Moving down the hallway, we get a first look at one of the half baths. This vanity setup is not quite as nice as I might expect in this price point home, but it does carry forward some of that vintage theme like I mentioned earlier. And overall, it's just a nice setup for vanity, and I like the wallpaper. It matches the sort of farmhouse fun theme. So overall, it's just a bathroom. When we get to the kitchen area, you can see some really nice finishes. I love the farmhouse style sink in a dark tone. I really like the contrasting central island. I like the wine fridge, the microwave built into the island. There's a double oven, large refrigerator, and I love the dark wooden slats running across the ceiling. These beams really stand out, and having those solid piece beams is always a great feature that adds a really nice feel to the house. I will note here, though, that we see one of the other few things that I don't really love about the house, and that's that the finishing here isn't quite what I would expect from a $2 million home in Nashville. You can see over the stove that we don't have an integrated hood. The fridge isn't built in or matched to the cabinets. And overall, just a couple minor things that could be nicer at this price point. But again, you have to keep in mind that this is on 6 acres and we've got 2 outbuildings to go and a pool in the backyard. I don't think it's something that you would be too worried about or notice too much. And hopefully you're going to be spending most of your time outside. So this is not a major point. This is certainly a very nice kitchen and one that I would love to have in my home. No drawbacks at all. Just something I figured I'd point out for when we get to the scoring later. Moving through the kitchen into the open dining room hosting area sort of setup, you can see this very cool fireplace with that continued wood beam theme. It's very cool, and it flows right out into a sunroom hanging off the back. This is a great hosting space, and it's this beautiful open space with the kitchen, this hosting dining room, and the sunroom is a big part of why I didn't put a drawback to the living room and that sitting room up front. It's nice to have some cozy, quiet spaces that are a little separated from those open layouts. A lot of times open layout homes can feel almost too open on a day-to-day life, so it's nice to have some closed off space and some great open space. This house finds a really nice balance that walks the fine line between too open and not nearly open enough. I think that the adaptability really shines in the way that the house is set up and laid out, and it's a great option for a lot of buyers. Moving upward to the master bedroom, you can see a lovely fireplace in the master bedroom, which in Tennessee isn't quite as necessary as some other states, but it's always a nice feature to have. You can decide to have a spa night in and have a nice little fireplace, and you can use the vintage style bathtub brought back along with those vintage styles again in a beautiful bathroom with a large vanity setup. This is par for the course for this price point of home and really neat. You can see a lot more of the vintage styles brought in this bathroom. But again, keep in mind this home was built in 2006, so bringing all of these features that are this vintage old style of home into the new home is really pretty cool. We'll quickly jump through some of the other bathrooms and bedrooms upstairs. You can get a quick look on screen at what these look like. They're all pretty nice, similar finishing, similar styling. There's nothing too exciting to write home about, but overall great set of space. You can also see a neat little upstairs den room, bonus room. I guess technically it's not a bonus room because it's not over a garage, but it's a very cool space. I think it's a little interesting to see the double TV setup. I kind of get some man cave vibes, like you got to see both games on the TV at once. But it's worth pointing out here also that there is a door heading to that little exterior patio we saw in the front of the house. This is a cool space that's pretty flexible and very functional. You can see here that the homeowners have really brought in some of the outdoorsy theme items into the home here. And it's a neat setup. I think it's a pretty cool room and an important feature to have a little bit extra space for relaxing and what it seems to be set up for watching the game. This is the South after all. All right, we have 2 more rooms to cover inside the house. Real quick, we have the office here set up. It's a very cool little pass-through window that opens up into that little living room from before. It's a cool little setup the way that they have it done, and a neat space for someone that has to work from home a lot. And right now in 2021, that's quite a lot of people. All right, and then the last interior space that we have to look at on the home is this little mud room and laundry room. It's always a great feature to have, very functional, and it looks like the perfect space to get all of your needs done for laundry in the home. On our way out of the main house, you'll notice that the main building's outdoor living space is actually not too much to write home about. You can see a nice little flat deck with a couple grills and some seating area, but overall this is just a plain space. I think that's fine though. Again, this is on 6 acres and we've got a party barn coming up soon that I haven't really mentioned yet. So I don't want to say too many things about this, but I will say that for a home with such an emphasis on an outdoor space that we're going to see shortly, I take these grills as a sign that it's not just that it's missing from the pictures. There's not a major outdoor kitchen space anywhere. And I think that that's something that would really add to the lifestyle that I see of someone deciding to purchase this home. It's something that's pretty easy to add in later, but I think it's a little odd that it's missing. That's one of the last things that I'll say about this home that I don't absolutely love. So moving on from there, we'll pass the detached 3-car garage. This building seems like it is a little older than the main house. I wonder if this wasn't one of the original buildings on the property that they converted into a garage. A lot of the homes out here in the Sleepers Fork area are updated or renovated from previous homes. On the listing data that I have, if the main home had been renovated like that, we would see a built date earlier than 2006. However, the main home might be new and some of these other buildings might not be. Ultimately though, looks like a great garage option. It's always better to have an attached garage than a detached one, but this is a cool little barn space. And if you decided to use one of those car bays for a workshop or any sort of storage or anything like that, sometimes it's nice to have that away from the home. Ultimately, I don't think that that's a major drawback for the home to have that garage detached. With that, let's move on to the party barn. This is the main entertaining space of the home and a very cool space for just that. You can see a really cool style of a sort of cabin rustic theme, but the exterior still matches with the farmhouse atmosphere of the main home. There's a lot of space that is pretty hard to tell what's going on from these pictures. This is when going and actually getting to tour the house really helps, but unfortunately that's not something that I'll get to do. This home sold in 3 days flat on the market. So with that, I want to point out some of the things. It looks like there is a bit of a little coffee bar and a wet bar in this space. There is a pool right out back. Overall, this seems like a great place to have a good party and have a lot of fun. It seems like the central space to enjoy those 6 acres from the outside of the home. This is a really cool space setup and something that's pretty sought after in Tennessee here, having this outdoor living space and hosting space. People love to go have fun outdoors. We have beautiful weather 9 months out of the year. We have 2 kind of chilly months in the winter and 1 really hot month in the summer. And other than that, you want to be outside every day that you can. The last main feature of this party barn that we can look at is this exterior fireplace. It's a really cool touch and something that I think adds to a little bit of the fun of having the party go on throughout the night. You hop into the pool during the day, you have a nice little dinner to watch the game, and then you put on the fire to enjoy the atmosphere of those 6 acres out in this quiet part of town and close out your beautiful time in the home. Overall, this is a really cool house. We'll show you one more time some of the highlight features of the home as we look at, again, this beautiful walk up to the home. Great styling. We take a look at that vintage touch on the door. We take a look at the kitchen opening into this lovely hosting space where you have a dining room and the sunroom. And then we move on out into the party barn and the pool. This is a very cool space overall. That's it for the walkthrough of the house. I hope you enjoyed those pictures and a quick summary that I gave. Let's get into the scoring categories. Our first general set of scoring is in the daily life category. And starting off will be layout. The layout score captures the overall functionality of the space just due to the floor plan. And in this home, I think it's a pretty good floor plan. It doesn't quite match the open style that we've come to expect. And 2 stories will never be able to beat out a 1-level floor plan. A lot of people really enjoy 1-level floor plans and they last longer into life. They let you continue to use a home through old age and hold on to the house for as long as you need. So there's always a point to be found if it's only a 1-level home. So we'll score layout at a 7 out of 10. The second category in daily life is utility. Utility captures the overall functionality of the home, how usable the space is. This is somewhere that you can lose points for lack of storage, strange kitchen layout, some sort of functional issue with the way that you're going to use the home every day. This home is really well laid out, and with 6 acres, it's very easy to make anything happen that you need to. However, we're going to lose 2 points here. One is going to be for minor little things that might start to add up. The detached garage, the lack of a hood over the stove, missing outdoor kitchen area. Those sort of things, they're not real problems and they're not real functional issues, but something that might start to add up, and we'll take a point away from there. The second point that we're going to lose here is because this home does have a septic tank system, and although that's pretty common in this more rural part of Franklin and on this large amount of land, it's still something that can be a little frustrating. So we're going to lose a point on utility for that septic tank as well. The next category in daily life is amenities. This captures the nice little features that are good to have. Overall, this house just fits the bill. It's nothing spectacular, nothing short. We don't count things like the pool here. That comes back in the fun and occasion category. Overall, this house is pretty average as far as amenities. It's a little better than that with the 6 acres and so much functional space that you can make anything that you need. So we'll give it a 6 out of 10. Next up in daily life is the quality category. It's very obvious even from these pictures that this is a very well-built home. You can tell that by the beams in the kitchen and dining room area. You can tell that by the attention to detail with these vintage style finishes. And you can just tell from the overall feel of the different finishes throughout the home. This is a very well-built home and a very impressive space to have. And on 6 acres, a big part of that quality just comes from the beauty of Tennessee. There's a reason that we choose to live here, and those 6 acres help you remember it. For quality for this home, we're going to give it an 8 out of 10. Last, we have to talk about location. This home is in a great location. This part of Franklin is one of my favorite places because you do get so much land for the money. This sort of nestled in between Belmead, which is a fairly nice part of Nashville for those of you not familiar with the area, and Franklin, which is a very nice business and work district primarily. There's a lot of life in Franklin and a lot of life in Belmead that really kind of capture this luxury market that this $2 million price tag fits into. And this home's nestled right between. Add to that the Leapers Fork area just down the road that's a really cool style of so almost small town feel, but in a rural area and without the small town hassle of, there's only 10 people there. People come in from all around the area to come in for a Sunday brunch or a meet and three and maybe a festival here and there. It's a very cool place and a cool space to live near. This home lets you get the best of both worlds, having everything that you need while feeling like you're out away from everybody else and in the country. So for that, we'll give this house an 8 out of 10 for location. That brings our daily life total score to 37 out of 50. That's a great score. Daily life is one of the hardest categories to capture because everybody lives their life day to day a little bit differently. So overall, a 37 out of 50 is a fantastic score, and I think that there are some minor places to be improved, but at that score, everything is just as good as you would need it. The only thing that's maybe hurting this is that $2 million price tag. It brings up expectations. If you were to bring that down, take away some of the land or anything else, this is going to be a fantastic house for the daily life category. So I'm perfectly happy with 37 out of 50 for this home. Moving on to the fun and occasion categories. The first one of these is hosting. How easy is it to host in this space? Well, overall, this is a really easy home to host in. You've got this great exterior party barn type space is what I'm calling it. You have this very cool kitchen opening into dining room, opening into sunroom. You have that little man cave living room upstairs. This is a very cool space for hosting. We're going to give it an 8 out of 10. The only points to be found here come in 2 places. The first one is that lack of an outdoor kitchen. That's such an essential thing for this sort of hosting space and outdoor space. It really adds a lot and makes everything a little bit easier while you're out there. So I would add a point back for that. And following on after that, we're also going to lose a point because I think with only 4 bedrooms and this amount of space, you could have a lot of people in this home and not have anywhere to put them. And it's always nice to have an excuse to send your guests home after a long party, but it's also nice to have the option to keep people around if they need to stay or if they're coming in from out of town. So we're going to lose 2 points for those 2 reasons, but overall, obviously, this is a great home for hosting. After that, we have the entertainment score. This captures how are you going to spend your day? Not necessarily bringing other people, but how are you and your family going to enjoy the home every day? What is there to enjoy and do and have fun with and make the home the event of the night? And obviously with 6 acres, a pool, a party barn, great outdoor hosting space, a lovely kitchen, and plenty of family room inside the main home, this has a 10 out of 10. This is the best aspect of this home, the day-to-day entertainment that you get to enjoy as a homeowner and as a family living in the home. Next up in the fun on occasion category, we have curb appeal. Curb appeal, we're going to get an 8 out of 10. We've got this beautiful farmhouse styling that's carried over from one building to the next in a great combination. This is a fantastic setup for curb appeal. It looks great. You can just see from the shots approaching the home that it is a beautiful home. The 2 points that we lose are from a lack of, like I said, that tailored landscaping around the home. Yes, it's a beautiful property, and I couldn't ask for more. But, you know, at this $2 million price point, that built-in landscaping that's had time to become established around the home, around the driveway, all over the property, really is something that can be expected at that price, and it's not here on this home, so we're going to lose 2 points on curb appeal. But, again, this is a lovely home. It looks beautiful, fantastic home, and definitely not something I'd be too worried about. Next, in fun on occasion, we have adaptability. Adaptability captures the way that you're going to use the home for just that fun on occasion and throughout a day-to-day life. This is an extremely adaptable home. There's lots of spaces. If you wanted the party barn to shift over into just a external hangout area where you spend time with your family, you could easily make that change to the barn. You could set up the front sitting room and living room into a 2-part open space in the front of the house. There's lots of different things that you could do to make this home shift to fit your needs, and I think that that's one of the other best features of this home. We're only going to get an 8 out of 10 because there is a little bit of lack of that exterior space, lack of the attached garage, but really this is a fantastic space that is going to be usable for anybody that needs it, and so we're going to go with an 8 out of 10 on adaptability. Last, we have the design. On design, we're going to get an 8 out of 10. I think landscaping is part of the design, and a home that's built to suit landscaping is another major thing that has to be included to get a 10 out of 10 on design. But the rest of the home, the finishing is consistent, it's beautiful. These little vintage attention to details I keep going back to are absolutely incredible to see on the home. You couldn't ask for more, so that's going to be an 8 out of 10 on design. That brings our total fun on occasion score to 42 out of 50, which is a fantastic fun on occasion score. For those of you that are quick at math, that brings our total overall score to a 79 out of 100. This is a great score and right around where we expect to see a fantastic home and a fantastic location. If you have some other thoughts for how you would have scored the home, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to get the feedback for the next video and see what all is important to you all. With that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.